honor all those in our community that have lost their lives to violence. First of all, I want to thank Teresa and Ray Courtemanche for allowing us to be part of this today and be a part of this ceremony. Let us remember our friends, our colleagues, our neighbors, and our loved ones that were taken from us way too soon. Let's remember their courage, their strength, and their love for life. Today and every day, we should remember not those who took them from us, but for the loved ones and the memory that they will be in our hearts and our souls forever. Today we remember their joy and their love and their laughter. We stand here today together to pledge to be vigilant, to help, to support, and to provide hope to those who have been affected by crime. They embarked on a journey that was not of their choosing, and we must be committed in helping them through the most trying of times. Each and every one of you present today is a testament to our commitment to work together to serve victims, to make sure that they have a voice and that that voice is always heard. Let us pledge today to honor victims for their strength and their resilience in our pursuit of justice. And I believe unless a victim is treated with dignity and respect and treated fairly and justly, we cannot obtain true justice.
Good afternoon. I'm Harry Price, very privileged to be the mayor of the city of Fairfield. And I want you to know that on behalf of my council colleagues, those who precede us and those who will follow us, thank you very much for recognizing the singular accomplishments that one person made. And his name is Matt Garcia. Matt was the youngest. He was the youngest council person ever elected in the city of Fairfield. And unfortunately, his dream had to be delayed a little bit. And we're here today to reawaken that dream and to recognize that one person can make a difference, just as Matt did. And your choosing to be with us today sends a very clear message that violence does not pay. We remember the victims. We tend to forget those who caused them to be victims. But this celebration today is a renewal, a commitment in the belief that the world is a better place today than it was then, and it will continue to be so. So thank you very much for being part of this, because when you leave, carry your bell, and don't put it on a shelf, don't put it on a drawer. Whenever the opportunity presents itself, find that bell and ring it. That's the sound of hope, the sound of joy.
Although Matt's dream was short-lived for a very moment in time, what I will say on behalf of Assemblymember Jim Frazier, that the youth, that millennials today are future leaders of tomorrow. We may have the next assemblyman, the next assemblywoman, the next president in this very presence to continue on with Matt's dream. And that is the whole purpose we are here today for this sculpture. And on behalf of that, I'd like to present not one, not two, but 3 certificates of recognition on behalf of Assemblymember Jim Frazier. To the Matt Garcia Career and College Academy, in commemoration of the unveiling of the Bell of Peace and Purpose sculpture on Victims Memorial Day 2017. As we honor the memory of Fairfield City Councilman Matt Garcia and victims of crime in our Solano County community, I affirm our dedication to support victims and their families, safeguard our communities from crime, and empower survivors. On behalf of the people of the 11th Assembly District, we applaud your unwavering devotion and steadfast commitment to the youth in our community and compassion to those affected by violence. Bestowed on April 4th, 2017, National Crimes Victims Week, from April 2nd to the 8th, 2017, right here in Fairfield, California. So with that said, thank you so much, Mr. and Mrs. Courtemanche. This is an absolutely amazing event. And for one more time, on behalf of Assemblymember Jim Frazier, could we please have a round of applause in honor of Matt Garcia.
Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. And, you know, even though it's been over 8 years, not a day goes by. It feels like it just happened. And I speak on behalf of all crime victims and their families. And so many are here right now where their cases are still unsolved, where they don't know who killed their loved ones. They haven't been caught yet. We have domestic violence victims who have not been served. And as a matter of fact, just a month ago, our neighbor across the street was murdered by her husband. I had written a blog the other day, and I want to just thank everybody who's spoken, everybody who's shown up, everybody who's participated. Chad Glasshoff, you're amazing. You're amazing. Thank you so much. That is amazing. Zachary Young, that's amazing. Thank you so much. I had written a blog the other day, and I'm just going to read from that because this is my heart and this is what I feel. The Matt Garcia Foundation, along with the Matt Garcia Career and College Academy, artist Chad Glasshoff, the DA's office, and state and local leaders joined together today to unveil a beautiful art piece created by Chad Glasshoff. The piece is a tribute to all victims of crime. It represents the strength, resilience, and justice for all victims and their families. As I sit here staring at this computer screen, I'm having a difficult time finding words to use for a short speech regarding National Crime Victims' Rights Week. It would be wonderful if crime victims and crime victims' families were victims for only 1 week of the year. The fact of the matter is, this is lifelong. The strength, resilience, and justice is what a crime victim has to hang on to in order to survive day by day. Most people don't want to be labeled as a victim, period. I know I don't. The definition itself feels defeating. So we stand up with strength that we gather from our loved ones. We are resilient. We will not take no for an answer. We seek justice for ourselves and our families and other fellow human beings. We become advocates for others facing this overwhelming journey. Our hearts become an open door. We understand the devastation, pain, heartache, and frustration that each crime victim and their families will encounter. What I do know for sure is that the love and support that our family continues to receive has definitely made a positive impact on us. We want to be available to give that back to other crime victims and their families. There's not any shortcuts through the shock, pain, and grief. From my experience thus far, I can say that I have a permanent empty space in my heart that cannot be filled or replaced by anything. And trust me, I've tried to fill it with all kinds of things. Lately, food. At times, the pain can overtake me. It doesn't matter where I am, the movies, shopping, or at work. The pain will move over me like a huge storm cloud that I'm not even aware of until it's on top of me. I'm learning that just kind of sit with it, allow the pain in and to move through me. It seems to not last as long if I give myself permission to feel it and let it come. This is a skill that I've acquired from watching other moms of murdered children. We help each other live. This is the strength and resilience. So I've summarized strength and resilience. Now here I am at the justice part of the theme for National Crime Victims' Rights Week. This is a bit more difficult for me to talk about. You see, I believe at the core of my being that the driver of the getaway car is equally responsible for my son's murder. She was never charged with the crime. I will never be able to wrap my mind around this. I am reminded that I also know of many victims and their families who are faced with not knowing who killed their loved one. Some of these are now cold cases. I don't know what that feels like every day. My heart aches for each and every one of them. The shooter and another accomplice in my son's murder are in prison. For this fact, I am truly grateful and I thank you, Krishna. I will continue to move forward in the knowledge that these two were charged in Matt's murder. I will continue to pray for some semblance of justice for the many victims and their families whose perpetrators and murderers have yet to be brought to justice. I never mentioned my cousin Kathy and her murderer. He's in prison. He murdered Kathy on April 19th, 1999. As a matter of fact, I went to Southern California last month for the first parole hearing. And to see this man for the first time in over 10 years was pretty difficult. My experience with justice is clouded. Again, we are grateful to those responsible for Matt and Kathy's murders, that they are behind bars. But I also feel that we as a society have a long way to go. God, clear our minds and heal our hearts. Guide our thoughts, our feelings, and our perceptions. Give us the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and the words to speak. Amen.
Good afternoon. I'm Jameson Harrigan, and I have the privilege of working here at the Matt Garcia Career and College Academy and the honor of speaking on behalf of our school. I'd like to start by taking a moment to thank the Matt Garcia Foundation and the Solano County District Attorney's Office for selecting the Matt Garcia Career and College Academy as the home for this beautiful symbol of strength, resilience, and justice in our community. I'd like to share a poem by William Ernest Henley titled Invictus. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. All of us face challenges in our lives. Some are far more horrific than others. It is our amazing capacity to persevere, to bounce back, and to overcome these challenges that define us as human beings. Our resiliency makes it possible to achieve our hopes and dreams. It is my hope that this sculpture will serve as a reminder of this fundamental truth to the students on our campus and to the community at large. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chad Glashoff, local metal sculptor, and I stand here humbly honored with gratitude for Teresa, Brother Raymond, and the Matt Garcia Foundation for choosing me to create this beautiful and powerful community sculpture, the Bell of Peace and Purpose, in honor of Matt Garcia and all victims of violent crimes. Art for me is a form of expression that requires strength to start and resilience to continuously push myself to inspire others. So if art is to nourish the roots of our culture, society, and our own selves must set the artist free within to follow the vision wherever it takes him or her. Art is the child of nature. We must love the nature of art in ourselves and not ourselves in the art. The essence of all art is to have pleasure in giving pleasure. We must never forget that art is a creation and form of truth in our expression, and nonviolence is the weapon of the strong. We create here today with strength for the hope and justice and peace for all. I'd like to share a quote written by Martin Luther King Jr. from the Birmingham jail. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. With this understanding, I feel we must empathize with all others as we empathize with ourselves to truly let the healing begin. So let this bell of peace and purpose be a symbol and ring with strength, resilience in our pursuit of justice for all, as we stand here together underneath a blanket of goodwill for the common good of man. Now, I'd like to introduce to you all a dear family friend, my beautiful and strong Carissa Scarlett Chavez. She herself is a surviving victim of a violent crime and would like to share her story with you all. Thank you. Let's all keep the dream alive. Peace and love.
All right, everyone. My name's Carissa Scarlett Chavez. Never in a million years did I think I'd be up in front of here speaking in front of a crowd being a victim of a crime. I'm truly honored to be up here to support and speak on all the other families and victims who have lost their loved ones who are a victim of a crime. It was 3 weeks till my 19th birthday, 10 credits shy of graduating high school, when the most traumatizing nightmare could have happened to myself and my family when I was in a carjacking and shot twice. I was shot in my left bicep, my left shoulder blade, and came out my neck and hit my C5 and C6 area and came out my neck and left me, and did not hit my spine, but left me with an incomplete paralyzed. I am partially paralyzed, so I am able to walk. I remember this moment like it was the back of my hand. I try very hard to forget this, but the effect it left my family and myself, it's been a very hard one to shake. One thing that does grind my gears is that they have not caught them. I do pray every day that justice will be served and that these guns will be off our streets someday soon and this case will be closed. It was the first week being in the hospital and being in UC Davis was the most hardest part. I was in intensive care unit. I remember bits and pieces of it. They had me stuck on so many different pain medications to keep me sedated so I wouldn't move because I was in so much pain. I couldn't even be touched. I had such bad nerve pain. I was confused. I was devastated. I didn't want anybody. I only had a few people that I wanted around me. I had a bunch though. I didn't get what was going on. I couldn't shake it. I didn't know that I wasn't going to get up and get going like I was able to before. I was in 3 different hospitals, Sacramento, Vacaville, Toledo, where I was at rehabilitation for almost 50 days. Let's just say, this whole entire thing broke my whole entire family. Tore us apart. Wasn't easy for my mom to quit her job and turn her life around and be a full-time mom and help me with my rehabilitation and after having all her children raised. This woman, she's my backbone. I wouldn't know what I would do without her. She's done everything for myself to get me back to where I am and my sisters. So thank you, Mom, for everything you do for me and us. It's been 2 years later, and I've came so damn far. And I'm very proud of myself for never giving up with how hard it was in the beginning. I've gone from being in the bed to wheelchair to now using my walker. After the doctor told me I was never going to be able to walk again. I'm so grateful for all the life lessons that it has given me. It has made me a very strong individual and appreciate everything that has happened to me and who I am today, which now I like to think of myself as more of a survivor than of being a victim of a crime. And I will walk again.
Love you, Corrie. All right, Corrie.
The final word in our theme is justice. All that was behind the Great Wall of China was considered safe as long as it was inside the wall. There was provision inside the wall. There was protection inside the wall. There was promise inside the wall. And as we observe Crime Victims' Rights Week this afternoon, we understand that because we have providers, advocates, and volunteers, they're here today. And because we have protectors, law enforcement in the courts, they're here today. We have the promise of the possibility that through our strength, through our resiliency, we can be a community that seeks collective justice, which allows true healing and wholeness to take place. God bless you.
Hello, everybody. I'm not feeling too well today. I've been sick for a little bit.
Love you, Vernalisa.
Love you, sister.
I just want to say that after Matt's death, well, first of all, me and Teresa, we grew up together, so we've been friends many years. After Matt's death, I used to see Teresa out in the community, and I couldn't imagine the pain that she had when I would see her. A few years after, I too became the mother of a victim of a violent crime. My son Jessie was shot and killed in 2012. But rather than sitting back and being behind the doors where I had depression, I came out into my community, and I was hired through the city of Fairfield to become a site lead for a youth program. I continue to work in my community with at-risk youth, and my goal and my purpose today is to continue to be a good role model for the youth in our community. I can't bring my son back, but if I could change how our youth think and believe that this is the right way to live, if I could change at least one, I did what I had to do. Thank you.
So I get really nervous when I'm talking about my daughter. It's still very fresh. It's been 3 years. So I wrote it down really quick on bullet point like 5 minutes before I came here, and I'm just going to follow along in it so I don't go off on a squirrel. And I'm going to just share a little bit about who she is and what happened on the day of her death, and some thoughts I had, because I'm sure that people out here are probably experiencing some thoughts or have. So I just want to let you know that you're not alone in that. And then also just some coping skills that I use. And I'm going to do that in 4.5 minutes, so or less. So my daughter's name is Taylor Lynn Little. She was a beautiful young lady. She was quiet in nature, but when she was in her room, her presence was humongous. Everybody knew she was there without saying a word. She was an intriguing person, and people wanted to know her, and they wanted to be her friend. She was a pretty interesting character who really saw the bright side of life. She used to say to me, why are you worrying? Don't trip, that kind of stuff. She just really saw the bright side of everything. So Taylor's life was just beginning. However, she was in a relationship the last couple years of her life that involved domestic violence. She was 23 years old and 7.5 months pregnant when her boyfriend made some decisions that took her life and her unborn babies. Taylor and I would keep in touch on the phone or in person. She didn't live with me on a daily basis, and I hadn't heard from her in a couple of days. So on April 24th, 2014, I gave her a call to see how she was doing. It was about 10 weeks left to her due date. I could tell by her voice on the phone that things weren't too great. She proceeded to tell me that she was on her way back from Los Angeles in a car that her boyfriend was driving, and then there was another girl with him. She said he was drinking alcohol. He was coming down off some pretty over-medicated pain meds, and he was knocking her around. So what was bothering her the most, that there was someone in the car watching it all. So for the next few hours, I texted back and forth with Taylor, and about an hour into our texting, she asked me to call the police. She said to tell him there was a drunk driver on the road in a brown Lexus, and there was domestic violence going on, and she wanted me to tell him where they were at. She wasn't a person that ever told me to call the police, and so I did it right away. I figured it was serious. The police were calling me back. I was texting her back and forth. They were asking me where she was. She was texting me back where she was at. And I continued to text her back and forth until a time when I didn't get a text back. Some hours passed, no communication. What I later found out was that the police did find the car. There was a high-speed police chase. The car she was in clocked about 110 miles per hour. They said probably more than that, but that's what they clocked it at. Her boyfriend lost control of the car, and the car flipped several times. And although the girl and the boyfriend walked out from the scene of the crime, Taylor didn't. So I have to share this because it just bugs me, and I didn't want to because it's just something that makes a difference. Someone just validates this as a crime. Is that at some point in that travel, she got out of the car and she wasn't going to get back in, and this guy drug her back in by her hair. So I just have to share that because it's not cool. So what happens next? I have all these feelings and these thoughts. I'm thinking, I shouldn't have called the cops because it's my fault. I wouldn't have, if I didn't interfere, this wouldn't have happened. I was thinking that if I didn't call her that day, it wouldn't have happened. I was wondering how frightened she was when this was all going on. I was wondering if she was a believer enough to go to heaven. I wondered if she sensed that she's going to die that day. I wondered if she was thinking about her baby and that it would not be born. I wondered if I was a good enough mom for the time that she was here. I had my own demons in my past, and I wondered if she got enough from me and if I was good enough. I pictured in my head what was happening during that day. I put myself in the car. I pictured the actual wreck, like if I was there. I even pictured him taking the body, hers, out of the car. I went back and forth with these thoughts, circling around, driving myself absolutely crazy. So several weeks and months passed with me doing that, and I had to find a different way. I had to figure something out. I had to be able to cope because I still was living. So I'd like to share a few things that I do. Taylor loved escaping and traveling around to different places. That was just her MO. She'd call me from all over the place, New York, Chicago, all over. So I had her body cremated, and I spread ashes in different places. I still let her travel. I travel now, and I take her with me. When I can't do it, we have friends and family that do it. So she's in places like Hawaii and Mexico. She's in Alaska. She's in Vietnam. She's in Shanghai and Tahoe and Oregon, Santa Barbara, Monterey, just about anywhere you could think of across California and the areas that are right outside of there. I make this my mission, right? This is part of what I do. The processing really helps me, and I hope that maybe helps someone else out here. I have a theory that I can take my trauma out. I can take this whole situation out. I can process some stuff. I don't have to open the floodgates. I can do it just a little bit at a time, and then I can put it away, and I can save it for later until the next time when I need it, and I'll bring it out again. And I share this with other women that I get to work with. Speaking of which, the greatest thing I do in my life to honor Taylor and that gives Taylor's life meaning is that I work for Mission Solano, and I get to share with other women who are in situations such as hers and assist them so that they may be able to live life differently, clean and sober and free from violent situations. I get to do this at Mission Solano on a daily basis, and I get paid, by the way. I get to help other women escape and be free. So once I was able to do some of this processing of this trauma in different ways, I discovered that I wasn't to blame for calling the police on that day. I understood that I am not that powerful. I couldn't have done anything different. But what I did get to do on that day, because I did call her, was I got to be with her in that car, and I got to be, I was her mom there with her, so she was able to. I don't know what it did. I don't know if it distracted her. I don't know what it did. But I get the peace of knowing that I was with her, and for that, today I'm grateful. So thank you.
Quick note about Zachary. This young man pedaled the bike from this great city, the city of Fairfield, to New York. This guy right here. And it's amazing. I want to be like him when I get younger. Zachary Young, thank you for joining us and sharing some words with us.
Hi. My name is Zachary Young. I'm a locally grown artist here in Fairfield. First, I would like to thank the Matt Garcia Foundation and all of the volunteers for all that you do for the youth, the community, for everyone, and for keeping Matt's dream alive. I would also like to thank Dr. Kearns and this amazing school for allowing me to add to the inspiration on your walls. It is such an honor, so thank you. I drew this piece over here. If you can't see it, you can check it out later. In the center of this drawing is a quote from Ecclesiastes 9:10. It says, "Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. I chose this quote because it reminds me of what I choose to do and how it means nothing if I don't make the best of it. I can either complain about how the universe is against me, or I can do my best with what I've been given. So whatever you're doing, whatever you're dealing with, whatever you plan to do it to the very best of your ability. Even if you feel you're not where you want to be at in life right now, then find a way out. Find something to work towards and give it time, because all things take time. Don't be that person waiting for someone else to go first. If you volunteer to go first, if you put yourself out there, you'll inspire others to lead with you. Take on challenges, that's how you grow, right? It doesn't mean that everything will turn out perfectly. But it also doesn't mean that you failed, because it's not failing if you put your heart into it. So if there's one thing you could take away from what I'm saying, it would be this. You deserve better, but no better than the work you put in. Please clap for God, and please clap for Matt and his dream. Thank you.
Before you do, I want to ask if a few people would come and stand with me for this moment of silence. Jason Aguirre, if you would please come and stand with the District Attorney's Office. Lilia Bro, if you would come and stand from the Fairfield Police Department. Chris Corrie, if you would come and stand, Superintendent of Schools. Lisette, if you would come and stand, Superintendent for the county. Before we hear the big bell ring from Chad, I'd like to ask you if you would just bow for a moment of silence. And Imam Mirza from the Muslim community for the city of Fairfield.
I don't know if you've calculated that, but we were real intentional with ringing that bell for 30 seconds. And you'll see the piece up here today. As you know, it's been probably about a 100-day journey putting this, assembling and making this thing happen. And I am eternally grateful for the opportunity to be in the presence of each and every one of you today. And I don't just say that word or these words lightly, and I mean that. I consider it an honor to have had the opportunity to raise Matt since the age of 4 years of age, and we're blessed today with Matt's biological father, Matthew Sr. right here. And in addition to that, we're blessed to have Grandma Garcia as well. And so again, I know that it was an honor to, and I tell people today that I'm the man I am today because of Matt. You know, Matt was a servant, you know, and as many of you was, and even when we lost Matt, we knew there was multitudes of Matt Garcias out there. That Matt Garcia said it. He said that Dad, even as we led people and helped walk people through difficult choices in this life, he said, why, Dad, if we would pour God's principles in when they're younger, it would help stop crime and ultimately strengthen the communities, which became his personal mission statement, which became his platform at age 6. He said, I want to be the mayor of Fairfield. Like, okay, and so, because he wanted to show that young people do care about their communities and they can make a difference. And I want to, all you young, this future upcoming generation, these people that are around you, they're paving the way for you and creating venues and environments and situations so that you can rise up and you can be your best you. As Zachary Young said, whatever you find your hands to do, do with all your might. And Matt said it, to be the finest you can be in this world that we live in. We take life as a test. We shoot for a better score. It doesn't have to be an A because we're not going to perfect that. There's only one that did that. He stood in your place and my place. And we get to walk in that authority, right, today. That's the promise today. That we don't have to do this alone. We can operate, right? We can operate in our collective strength. We can operate in our collective resiliency. We can operate in our collective justice. The only way justice prevails, we assume our position in this world that we live in. There's a Greek word called katagio. And a friend of mine, Louis Wright, in CDC, prison, San Quentin, it's a longest-standing program in that prison. He says, in the katagio, the word talks about assuming your position. He would tell these men, assume your position in this world that we live in. It's not incarceration, it's not in self, it's not in me, but it's in we. You turn the me upside down, right? It's about we. It's this community. That's what the representation of this gathering today doesn't have anything to do about me or anyone else, just to show that we have a community, we have a great city, the city of Fairfield, that has the capacity and the leadership and the upcoming leadership to continue to be the change that we want to see, as Gandhi said, in this world that we live in. And the thing of it is, we don't have to do this in our own strength, right? This is Raise a Hope. It's a program that Cindy leads, right? At the Mr. Solano, I've had the privilege to hold up Ronald Marlette's arm since the conception of the organization. The hope is helping other people escape from their self to purpose, right? HOPE, helping other people escape. And that's just it. We don't have to do it in our own strength. It says that God has given us a hope, listen to this, that does not disappoint us. Why? Because he has poured out his love. That's what's represented here today, into our hearts by the power of the Holy Spirit, whom he has given us. And I woke up early this morning and the message kept coming through my head. The Spirit says, the Spirit says, the Spirit says. And you're here today. And the Spirit says that God says you're enough just to assume your position, to be your best you, to be the finest you can be in this world that we live in. I'm going to say this right here. Teresa and I we were summoned to the prison where Mr. Combs is living out his life sentence. And although my wife Teresa forgave him at impact statement during sentences, he summons us to go there. And he wanted to deal with his demons, if you will. And so we got to let him talk and think through things and express things. And we got to tell him, we're not going to be that stumbling block in your life. We're not holding you hostage. We're doing life with you, just like every one of us that are out here today celebrating life and purpose and meaning. We're doing life just like he is. He just happens to be behind those walls, right? And we encourage him to be his best him, even behind those walls. And what kind of light and what kind of legacy is he going to offer to this world that we live in? Because guess what? Nobody's going to do it for him. No one's coming to save him. He has to assume his position, just like each and every one of us here today. We have to assume our position to be our best me, to be your best you. And there's great and unsearchable things that you can't even think of or imagine that God has for you. But I encourage you to pursue those dreams, to stand with Fairfield's finest, right? Not me, not one, but collectively. We're going to support, we're going to help teach, we're going to help advocate, we're going to help nurture, we're going to help people dream dreams. That's the message. Ring the bell, you're all dismissed.